Do you strive to have balance in your life? I, for one, sure do. As a life coach, Jacqui Meyer helps working women who are struggling to find balance between family life and their career while maintaining a sense of self. Wow, Jacqui, that is so powerful. Feel so privileged to have you here with us today. So welcome.
Thank you, Tori, and thank you so much for inviting me to come and join you today.
Jacqui and I met a few years ago when I attended a Women's Day Kundalini yoga session, and I think I was forever changed. Jacqui, can you tell us a little bit more about how you help women?
So, as a working mom, my niche is to actually help women who are working and have kids, particularly, to sort of find their happy. So to find that balance between the family and the work life, to be able to be more effective in both roles, because nowadays there are a lot of people out there and a lot of moms who have to work, and also that they want to work, and you shouldn't not have to, if you know what I mean. And as women, we also tend to have a lot of frustration and anxiety and overwhelm. And so it's just a case of trying to find what works for you to be able to balance that so that you can be a better person, you can be a better mom, a better colleague, a better business owner, a better wife, partner, whatever it is. And you will find that if you are the best person you can be, that has a beautiful outward ripple, and everybody else can also be a better version of themselves too, which is really, really great.
That is so powerful. You have such an impact. So a few years ago, you ended up in hospital in high care in a really serious condition. What happened?
So for, I think it was almost 18 years, I actually used to work in the corporate industry, in a male-dominated corporate industry at that. And in a support role, so it wasn't an operational role, but there was a lot of support. So I was assisting in lots of other things. And between my own personality, so I do admit that I have some responsibility in this, but also in the workload that was just being piled on top of me, I actually ended up with adrenal fatigue. Now, it must have been almost 6 months, the doctors actually didn't know what was wrong with me. I had been to all sorts of doctors, I had been to specialists, and every time they ran all the tests, they kept coming back normal, even though I was feeling absolutely awful. On 2 occasions, my husband had to rush me to the hospital, ended up in emergency. And on the second time, they actually decided that I think they'd given me like 3 hits of morphine and it had done nothing. So they were really worried and sent me off to high care. Now, I don't know if anyone has been to high care before, but it is not a nice place. You are attached to all of these machines and everything. You can't even go to the bathroom by yourself. You have one nurse who's keeping an eye on patients at any one time. And I won't lie, it was scary. Everybody else who was in high care was a lot older than what I was. They were there for heart attacks and heart problems and things like that. And here I was in my 30s, attached to who knows what kind of machine, unable to go to the bathroom by myself. And of course, they again went through all the tests and everything came back absolutely normal. And it was like, you could see them looking at me like there was something seriously wrong. But that was when my actual personal GP then went and she did a bit of research and came back to me and she was like, Jacqui, you have adrenal fatigue. And what had happened is basically very similar to burnout, that I had been running in that fight or flight mode for so long that my adrenals, which are little glands at the top of your kidneys, had actually flattened out. They could not do their job anymore. And that in different people leads to different symptoms. And in my case, panic attacks, just looked very similar to what was a heart attack, hence the reason I ended up in high care. It was just the most unpleasant feeling in the world, and I would hate for anybody else to have to experience something similar.
Wow, Jacqui, that is an amazing story. And you are definitely not the first person that I know that has gone through this and has had adrenal fatigue. And that is actually so scary, because it just says to me that women are, running too much. There's like too much going on. So what changes did you make in your lifestyle?
So to start off with, the company that I was working for were very kind and had said to me, you know what, why don't you take 6 months and just work half day for those 6 months? Don't do any traveling, just reduce your stress and your workload for quite a bit, which was great. It was really awesome of them. They didn't have to do that, but they did, which I really appreciated. But after 6 months, I then had to go back to functioning normally as I was. And within 6 weeks, I had completely undone absolutely everything that those 6 months of recovery had led me to.
Wow.
So my husband and I were away for the weekend. We were camping, and we actually just made a decision that for both my sake and my family's sake, the best thing to actually do was to quit my job. No plan B, like absolutely zero. I had been working for the same company in different roles, but for the same company for basically my entire career. And the industry that I work in is a very small industry in South Africa. And so everybody knows everybody else. There was no other options. It was, I had to quit. It was the root cause of the problem, which of course they did not like that idea. But we were just adamant that for my health and the sake of my family, the best thing to do was to quit. So that was the biggest thing. I took a month off of work completely, stayed at home, and just enjoyed being a mom, enjoyed being at home and just not having that pressure on me, which was really, really great. And then slowly but surely started to pick up all the pieces. One of the things I had done in those 6 months where I was working half days was to actually go and see a life coach. So it's actually very funny, because my doctor had originally suggested I go see a psychologist, which I duly did. She gave me a number, and off I went, made an appointment, and off I went. And the psychologist and I sat and stared at each other for the whole session. It was not, it was not very fruitful. And in hindsight, it may have been just because it was actually the wrong person. But I then did a little bit of homework, and I phoned my doctor back and I said to her, hey, look, this psychologist thing doesn't work. So luckily my doctor knows me very well. She was like, yeah, she kind of figured that wouldn't work. So I said to her, well, what about going to a life coach? And she was like, actually, you know what? She hadn't thought about that, but she thought that might be a good fit for me. And I have to admit, for me personally, it was a really good fit, because you could actually take actionable steps every week. And you could unpack everything, and it felt like I was in control of my life and my future, as opposed to going to the psychologist where all you were doing was talking. And for me, that wasn't very helpful at all for me personally.
Sure. Jax, well, I know that you have something really special to share with us today. We are all under these unique circumstances with COVID-19, and we are definitely looking for some balance and clarity. So please share.
I absolutely will. So I'm super excited. So I don't know you're not going to be able to see it, but there it is. I put together a top 10 list of things to help to keep us sane during this, as you say, unprecedented, very unconventional time. So I'm going to go through each of the top 10, and I'm just going to touch on them briefly. I won't go into a lot of detail. You can go into Google, you can find loads of information on all of them and deep delve into them. Alternatively, obviously, contact me and find out some more as well. So number one, which I think is the easiest thing to do, is to get some vitamin D. So vitamin D, our body takes sunlight and transforms it in our body into vitamin D. Now we need vitamin D in our bodies. It helps us to be happy, which I think is super important right now.
For sure.
Exactly. And in some of the Nordic countries where it is dark for a lot of the year because of where they are in according to the sun. They even have light therapy because of the high levels of depression because of being in the dark for so long. And that's just because of their vitamin D levels. So if you have a garden, go outside, like 20 minutes a day. That's all you need. Obviously, more is better. So 20 minutes a day if you have a garden. If you don't have a garden and you've got a little veranda, a little balcony, you can go out there as well and have your 20 minutes. And for those, of course, who don't even have a balcony, you find a window, much like I have in the background here, and just time your day so that you're spending your 20 minutes there getting your light. And it seems like such a simple thing to do, but you'll be amazed at the difference it will make. So that's number one.
So
number
just
two.
Touching on number one, we as swimming teachers, especially down south, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, a lot of us have outdoor swimming pools and we are in the sun a lot. So can you get an overdose of vitamin D?
No, you can't, but you can get an overdose, obviously, of UVA and UVB, which is why we all have to protect ourselves. But I think everybody in the Southern Hemisphere knows all of that. What your body will take as much sunshine as what it needs, and it will convert it to what you need for a couple of days worth, and whatever else it just won't use. But I mean, I'm sure you will agree, having sunshine on your body, nice and warm feeling, it actually literally warms you up both the inside and from the outside.
Absolutely, it really does. And now for those viewers that are in the Northern Hemisphere that don't have much privilege to be out there in the sun, and like virtually all the pools are indoors and covered, do you get a vitamin D supplement?
So even on days like for us in South Africa today, Tori, I know you'll have the same weather. It is a bit overcast, which is still fine because you're still going to be outside. You're still getting all the necessary stuff. So even if it is cool and overcast and a bit of gloomy weather, just being outside in that sunlight will still give you enough vitamin D. So that's why we always say a minimum of 20 minutes. Obviously, a little bit longer is nice. And for those who've got schools that, as you say, are undercover, just the case of like walking around in the garden, walking to and from places. If you like just slowly accumulate all those minutes, you'll be surprised. It still does all count.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that is great to know. Thanks. What is number two?
So number two is exercise, which of course for all of you swimming teachers is not a problem, obviously. But I think it's also important to know for your family as well. So to be like a really good influence to them and to encourage them. Exercise helps us with our cognitive function. It like literally helps us to be smarter, which is so cool. It obviously also, it releases endorphins and serotonins, which helps to make us happier. And of course, if you're burning off some fat and all of that, it always gives you a good boost for self-esteem and confidence as well, which is nice.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
For me personally, yeah. And one of my favorite ways to get exercise, if you have gone through a whole day and you haven't had a chance to do it, and you're busy in the kitchen cooking, find your favorite song, turn up the volume, and just have a little kitchen dance party. Even that is enough in a day to give you that boost.
Oh, wow. Well, I often also say that people say, oh, you must be so fit because you're like in the pool all day, you're swimming all day. And I do have to remind them that, well, actually, most of my day isn't swimming up and down doing lengths. It's more like wallowing in the pool like a hippo.
Well, so that's true. I mean, you do have an active job compared to someone who's going to be sitting in an office all day. So that is something to bear in mind. But still very important to either stay in the pool and get a couple of lengths in, or find whatever exercise it is that works for you. And what's interesting is that at the moment, I don't know if you've noticed, but on a lot of the social media and a lot of the apps, they are giving away a lot of free content at the moment, so you can sign up and you can enjoy like a multitude. There's free yoga, free Pilates, free cardio programs. In South Africa, you will know the KZN trail running guys. They have actually started a garden series, and what happens is everyone goes and runs laps around their garden and logs it and puts it on, and they've actually got like a little like a I don't know, a winner's scroll kind of thing, and they keep just to encourage people to keep moving and to keep going, because it has such a positive influence on us and on our sanity at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got to start doing that, doing some lengths, running around my garden. I think that's a good plan.
And it's interesting. We've got friends whose gardens are tiny, tiny. And I think they were saying they're doing something like 100 laps of their garden, like through the bushes. It's like an obstacle course. So make it fun, drag the kids, get the dogs involved. The dogs think you're crazy, but don't worry about it. They love it anyway. Whatever it is. And if running is not your thing, like I say, there's free yoga online, there's free Pilates online. Find your favorite music, have a little dance party, whatever it is. Again, 5 to 20 minutes is enough to give you that boost that you need.
Fantastic. Okay, so moving on to number 3.
Number 3. So number 3, my personal favorites. It's practice of gratitude. And there's a really cool saying that says, gratitude turns what we have into enough. And I think right now, practicing gratitude is a super, super important one. There's a lot of fear and chaos around us and a lot of uncertainty. And I think in that time in particular, it's a really important time to practice gratitude. And it's such an easy thing to do. So both in the morning and in the evenings, I will just, like before I wake up in the morning, very quietly to myself, think of maybe even just 3 things to be grateful about. So I'm grateful for a good night's sleep, I'm grateful for my comfy bed, and I'm grateful for my happy, healthy family as examples. And what that does is it sets up the whole day with this beautiful tone that you are blessed and you look for more blessings. In the evenings, if you repeat the same thing just before you go to sleep, and again, just sort of 3 to 5 things that you're super grateful for, you will then have you'll have better sleep. You'll literally have better sleep. It's the most amazing thing. And again, having that attitude of gratitude is huge. It helps you from a psychological point of view, increases your health. It helps to reduce your stress. It literally increases your physical health too, which is great. Boosts your self-esteem. And of course, you just experience greater feelings of happiness and self-confidence and all of that. And I think at the moment, it's a really, really important one to think about. We should all be grateful for our health that we have at the moment, be grateful for governments that are instituting, yes, very serious things at the moment, but really good practices for in the long term. So short term, yes, they're going to hurt, but in the long term, I think that makes sense. Grateful that we have homes, grateful that we have got food in our cupboards. To give you a really interesting example, we were at the shops just before our lockdown here in South Africa, and I had stockpiled a couple of loaves of bread to put into the deep freezer because I have 2 boys who eat a lot of food. And there was this guy behind us, and he literally had a pack of Hall's sweets, you know, the throat lozenges, in his hand. And he looks at our trolley and he was like, well, what are you going to do with all that bread? We're like, no, we're just going to put it in the freezer so we don't have to go to the shops as often. And he said to us, he was like, that is the most amazing thing. He lives in a small flat. He's only got a tiny little fridge. And so he can only store enough food for a few days. And it's him and his family. And he'd take for granted having something like a deep freezer. Such a small thing to be grateful for, but I was super grateful at that point. Thank you that I have electricity. Thank you that I've got a deep freezer. Thank you that I can store this food. And that way at least reduce the amounts of time I'm spent outside of our safe zone, obviously. So much to be grateful for at the moment.
Yes, and I think we actually underestimate the power that the attitude for gratitude actually has. And even though we're all thinking we're being grateful, actually being mindful and actually really saying those 3 things to ourselves or out loud twice a day can make a huge difference to our mindsets.
Absolutely. And it's actually such a nice one to do with the family as well. I've seen a lot of families, they will get a nice big glass tub, a glass jar or a tub or something. And every evening at dinner, everyone will sit and write down 1 or 2 things that they're grateful for during the day. And you put them all in the tub. And what's really, really cool is that any time when you are feeling down, you go and you take that tub and you empty it out. And you actually go through and you pick out a few and you read them. And you suddenly realize, like, wow, you have so much to be grateful for. So even if you're not feeling it at that moment, dipping into that tub and taking things out, you suddenly realize actually how blessed you are. And it's such a cool thing to do with your whole family. It's so much fun as well.
That is such a cool idea, and also modeling for our kids actually, and setting them up for a successful mindset, not just thinking about ourselves being positive, but our kiddies are also going through a lot right now, and I think that is a great tool that we can put into practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we role model these things for our kids and we give them the tools, it'll be set them up in the long term for greatness.
Absolutely. Okay, so what is next on your list?
Okay, so number 4, which seems like it may be a bit of an odd one, but it is water and nutrition. So lots of us are at home at the moment, and I know it's always on everyone's New Year's resolution to drink more water and eat better. Now is your chance. So, like, for example, I spend a lot of time in the car, and I find I don't always drink as much water as what I can. So what I have been doing now, in fact, I'm just going to show you, is I've got this beautiful bottle, which I know is 800 mils in here. And so it's on my desk all the time, and I know that I need to drink preferably 3 of them a day, but if I'm drinking 2, I'm happy. And of course, your bathroom is close by. I mean, what have you got to, you don't have to, like, there's no meetings to go to. Well, I mean, some of us still can work, but it just makes life so much easier to be able to get all that water in. The other one about eating, so not just eating healthily, but making sure that you're not mindlessly eating, because it's very easy, and I know that I'm super guilty of this one. If I'm bored, one of the first places I go to is to the pantry to go and see what is there. So I think just catching yourself beforehand and being like, actually, am I hungry or am I bored? And just unpacking it. So just being mindful more than anything else. So no super diet, no anything like that, but mindfully watching what you're eating, mindfully checking that you're drinking enough water. I think those are super, super important. Us in South Africa, we've got 21 days of lockdown, and I think 21 days of mindless eating. Can you imagine what you will look like when you come out?
Yes, no, that is so true. But I also find that if I start my day off with water, then I tend to keep drinking it, and I am more mindful of my eating, and I tend to eat less. Whether if I start my day off with tea, for example, then it doesn't go so well. So I have to consciously think, no, I must drink first before I have my first cup of tea.
Yeah, which is really, really great, because also what happens is, obviously during the night, we've got, call it 8 hours of sleep where you haven't been consuming anything at all. And so we actually wake up in a slightly dehydrated state anyway. So it is really, really good. Even if you are going to have a cup of tea, switch the kettle on, go grab a glass of water, have the glass of water before you that coffee. So, and that's the same thing to do. If you find yourself in the pantry or opening up the kitchen cupboards, pour yourself a glass of water first, and then go back and check in. Am I actually hungry? Am I bored? Am I thirsty? What is it?
Now, how does that actually impact on our mindsets?
So it's an interesting one, because a lot of us will binge eat, like I say, out of boredom, from a place of fear. there's lots of reasons why different people will binge eat. A lot of it is emotional eating. And if you're being mindful about what you're eating and how you're eating, you're just watching yourself, then you will find that, excuse me, just one moment. I have two little boys who are trying very hard to get my attention.
This is what we all have to deal with during this time period. And I'm also waiting for any moment now that my little girl is going to burst through the door. So don't worry, we totally understand.
No, I know that was what I thought. Let me quickly excuse myself while I sort these two out. Hey, close the door.
But it is so interesting how our mindset can just be so powerful, and how we actually really have to tune into that. And just something simple like drinking more water can actually really influence our outlook, our mindset, being positive. And it's not just about being healthy and hydrated, but it's actually, helping our brain to function.
No, absolutely. And mindset is also, it's like a muscle, so that the more that you use that growth mindset, the stronger it becomes. And so small actions like being mindful about what you're eating, when you're eating, having the glass of water first, whatever it is, all of that just helps to reinforce and strengthen that growth mindset within us, which is amazing because we can literally rewire our brains, which is the most amazing thing I think that we are possibly capable of as human beings.
I love that. And also it's, again, putting the power in our hands. We're not looking externally, but we know that we have got the power, and it's in our control to put things into action. We've just got to, and these kind of steps are going to help us to take action, which is really cool. So what is the next one?
Right. So number 5, which I think is actually super important for everybody out there who is working. So obviously there's lots of people out there who are not working at the moment just because of the nature of their jobs. But then there's a lot of people like yourself and myself who are still working online. My father's a computer programmer, so he's working. There's lots of people who can still work remotely. And I think what we have to really be cognizant of is maintaining those work hours. And not just, well, you've got all day, so sit in front of your laptop working away all day. Actually knowing that, okay, I work from 8 until, say, 5. Working from 8 to 5, making sure you take your lunch break. And once those work hours are done, closing the laptop, switching off, and now going and getting your exercise in, going to go be part of your family, whatever it is that you want to do, but just being very strict and disciplined with yourself with regards to those work hours.
Now, how do you work when your kids are so demanding?
Very good question. So it's so interesting. I've seen so many people, so many other moms who put up these rosters on Facebook to say, right, here is our roster, and this is how we're going to stick to it. And you know what? Like, high five to them if they get that to work. I know it's not going to work in my house.
I threw mine out on day 1.
You see, and when the kids are going to school and life functions normally, it's easy to have that routine because there are like the school bells, school starts at this time, school finishes at that time, and so it's easier to stick to it. But now none of that exists unless you're installing a school bell into the house, you know. So for me personally, we're kind of going with the flow and winging it a bit. So even now, like I've said to the kids, like, off you guys go play for a bit. We'll do some homeschooling just now. But you've got some free time. Leave me alone, please. And I can still see some heads popping through the door.
So our little kids, sometimes you can't, with the tiny ones, they don't actually understand when you say, leave me alone. I'm like doing a live video. Please don't interrupt me.
Yeah.
They're not going to get that. And I just want, give us a tip of how we can try and create that balance with our kiddies between work and kids.
So the one thing I've definitely noticed, when the kids are demanding attention, the easiest thing to actually do is to just put everything down, whatever it is that you're doing. Obviously, if it's a call, it's something completely different, or an online meeting. But if it's something that can wait, put it down and go and sit with them for 10, 20 minutes, because that's all they want. They want some of your attention. Build a puzzle, play Lego, build an obstacle course, build a blanket fort, whatever it is that they want to do. Just completely give them your attention for, like I say, 15 to 20 minutes. And you'll find that normally after that 15 to 20 minutes, they're then happy to carry on and play by themselves. And you can be like, okay, cool. Now mom needs to get some work done. You carry on playing and off you go. That for me has been the best thing.
I think that is a really good tip, and that is exactly what I did actually before our video today. So my daughter, our kids do need that attention and know that they're unconditionally loved and that actually they're the center of our universe right now. And so I just went and sat for 20 minutes actually and explained to her that I'm going to have to take some time out to do a video, and but I'm going to play with you now. And it was such a good quality time. So she understood what was coming next, and we had a great time together. And she's kind of, luckily she is a bit older that she can understand now, kind of not to interrupt me. But it is just that time I know that I've spent with her, so I don't have the guilt, and she feels loved and has true expectations of what is coming next.
Absolutely. So the whole age appropriate thing also comes into play. Your kids and my kids are of that age where they actually can be left unsupervised, for lack of a better word, for 20 minutes, half an hour, and they're perfectly fine and they can amuse themselves. Obviously, somebody with babies is a different story. And in which case, then maybe the best thing to do is to have some space, wherever your workspace is, have a bit of a play space as well. And again, we're trying to keep to those work hours as much as possible so that you have still got that flexibility. And I think right now we really have to be mindful of that flexibility. Like, really, as you say, forget the guilt associated with it. No rules currently apply. They really don't. So you all have to feel your own way. But I think you're right. Kids right now, probably more than us, need to know that they are safe and secure and loved, and that there's nothing too alarming that's going on, that certain things that their foundations are still strong and the same. So yeah, I agree.
So I can't wait to hear what number 6 is.
Okay, so number 6 is meditate, which Tori, as you know, is also one of my favorites. I am a huge, huge advocate of meditation. And the thing with meditation is it's such an interesting one, because someone who hasn't meditated before it's amazing some of the preconceived ideas people have. I did a workshop, a women's retreat, actually a few weeks ago. And one of the ladies said to me that she was under the impression that the idea behind meditation was to still your mind. I'm like, you know what? If you can do that, that is amazing. But it doesn't always work. I have been practicing meditation now for like 20 years. And even today, I will still often sit and I'll be like in my head, my eyes are closed, I'm sitting beautifully, everything's peaceful and quiet around me. And my brain is still going, you need to go and put the washing machine on, because if you don't do it now, it's going to get overcast later and then nothing's going to dry. You know, you should really empty out that one. Oh, you still haven't phoned your mom. You know, like there is that little monkey in your head that chatters away. And yes, it's nice to quiet the monkey, but it doesn't always happen. And that's what meditation is. It is a practice, but it is the most amazing thing as well. It helps you to get control almost of that little monkey, and to sometimes turn his volume down, but also like a lot of stuff at the moment, again, lots of fear, lots of anxiety, lots of unknown going on. It helps you to take all of that, and we have the most amazing imaginations, hey? They can run away with us. But meditation helps almost to put all of that stuff into context so that you can actually understand all of your emotions and feeling that much better, which means that, like, as a human, you have got just a better grasp of what is going on, and that imagination has a bit of a rein on it so it can't run away with you.
I love to meditate, and I just combine it with praying, being grateful, and I just really, especially if I do it, as you mentioned earlier, just about being grateful, and you just actually in the morning just taking that time out to still your mind. I think that that is a powerful thing to do, especially when it's like setting us up for success for the day.
Absolutely. And gratitude is one of the, like for me, when I'm teaching meditation as a beginner, gratitude is the first and the easiest forms of meditation that there are to practice. It's also quite nice to have meditation and journaling that go together, but they don't necessarily have to. And what's also really amazing is there's this beautiful app called Insight Timer. So INSIGHT Timer. And you can download it. There's a paid version and a free version. But the free version has got, I think, like 35,000, if I remember correctly, free meditations. And they range from literally 1 minute to like an hour. And there are different people who give them. There are guided meditations. There is music. There are subjects. So you can actually go into this app and you can go and say, okay, maybe anxiety is something at the moment. You can type that in as a filter, and you can even if you've only got 5 minutes, you can say I've got 5 minutes, and it'll give you a series that you can choose from, which is amazing. It is really, really cool, and it's been such a help. Some days you can sit and like I said, I've been practicing for a long time, but sometimes you just need that little bit of guidance. And so that app is absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, we'll put that link in the comments below. But on the thing about journaling, it's a bit of a trendy buzzword right now, right? What are the benefits really?
Okay, so journaling, I'm also a super, super huge fan of. I have been journaling also for as long as I've been meditating. And I probably at any one time have, I'm not going to lie, probably 5 or 6 journals that I use. And different journals get used for different reasons in my case, but that's all beside the point. So it is a bit of a trendy thing at the moment, but the reason why it is so trendy at the moment is because there's been a lot of scientific research into journaling and the benefits of journaling. So just very, very quickly, a couple of the benefits of journaling. So number 1, it stretches your IQ. Believe it or not, putting pen to paper can stretch your IQ. And what happens is that because you're writing, and the language of learning obviously is what is helping to stretch our brain. And what happens is that we end up wanting to explore and find new words and new ways of expressing ourselves. And so our use of language, our comprehension, trying to find new words, all of that sort of stuff all helps to develop our IQ. Evoking mindfulness. So we've chatted a little bit about mindfulness. And mindfulness is just really being present with whatever it is that you're doing, being present with your decisions, being present with your children, understanding your own thoughts and feelings at the time, and understanding how and why you do things in a certain way, how you react and all of that. And by putting pen to paper and sort of putting your emotions and your feelings and all of that on paper, you start to understand that relationship between your reactions and feelings and what drives all of your emotions and how you react. And so you become more mindful in a lot of the stuff that you do, which is really, really awesome. Achieving goals, very cool. You will not build a house without plans. So similarly, if you have goal dreams, you write them out because these become your blueprint. And they've actually shown this proof to show that the more detailed that your goals are, the higher the likelihood of you actually achieving them. Because what happens is that by being very specific about those goals, you actually see opportunities that you probably ordinarily wouldn't see, and you can tap into those to be able to fulfill your goals, which is such a cool one.
That is so cool. And I actually just did a post the other day about writing down your goals. And even I have in our swimming teachers marketing group, I actually was on Monday. I put it down and I said, you know, writing down your goals is so powerful. And there's a percentage, which I've forgotten it now, but it's something like 42% will increase the likelihood of you succeeding with those goals just by writing them down. I think that is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back every once in a while, and obviously the frequency of how often you go back to them is up to you and what works for you. But going back and reflecting on them on a regular basis to see your progress just reinforces that all the time too, which is also really great. So a few more benefits to journaling. Emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is our ability to empathize with other people around us. And again, because we are journaling and writing down our feeling, thoughts, and emotions and understanding ourselves better, this then becomes the bridge to understanding other people better and what drives them. So a really cool one there. Boosting memory and comprehension. So we touched on this a little bit in the IQ. But what's really cool about this one is that when we're journaling, we will often journal experiences that we've had, both positive and negative. But it's that cognitive recall that helps to boost our memory, which is really awesome. Strengthening self-discipline, a really good one too, which we chatted a little bit about as well. Sitting down every day and writing in your journal takes discipline. And the thing with discipline is, again, it's like a muscle. So the more you do it, the stronger the muscle becomes. And so not just for journaling, but for anything else, also increases, which I think is a really cool reason to do journaling, if for no other reason.
Exactly. I think that is such a powerful reason. And all of those, I think I am definitely going to maybe start journaling. I can really see the benefits. So I think we'll have to do an entire new video on the benefits of journaling, because I can really see there is just so much value in that, and people don't really realize it. We've all been told to journal or write a diary, but yeah, and just being able to put that into practice is something different. So what is our number 7 tip, Jacqui?
Cool. So number 7 is to learn something new. Again, we've now got more time than what we've ever had on our hands. There's all of us, I'm sure, have got something that we want to learn. A very good friend of mine, she is keen to learn Italian. She's always wanted to learn a new language. So she's from America, and when she was at school there, in their school system, they didn't have to learn a second language. So she can only speak English. And she has decided that she's going to learn to speak Italian in these 21 days of lockdown, which I think is such a cool idea. Obviously, if you want to learn to play the guitar and you don't have a guitar, that's a little bit tricky, but there's still so many things that you could learn. And again, if you go online at the moment, there is so much free stuff available that you're able to learn. YouTube has, you can find the most amazing things on YouTube. I'm actually going to be having a look for some parkour, like 101 lessons for my kids, so that we can do some physical education in our homeschooling later, because it's something that the boys would be keen on. But learn something new. You've got the opportunity, you've got the time. There's nothing stopping you.
I think that's so true. We've got YouTubers and Google are such amazing resources that we really can have access to, excuse me, to anything. So I think it's just really taking that step and just yeah, putting your mind to it, okay, I'm going to learn something new, no matter how small it is. It doesn't have to be an entire new language, but it can be something simple as, okay, I'm going to learn how to work Zoom, for example.
Exactly, yes, great example. So it can be something that's work-related that will further your career, which is awesome. All the students out there, like, you should really be tapping into this one for your CVs. And for anybody else, as you say, like if it's business related, that's amazing. Learning funnels, learning Zoom, learning how to maybe create better YouTube videos, whatever it is, there's a plethora of resources out there that we can tap into, which are for free. Or even if it's learning something with your kids. My oldest loves origami. So simple, easy to do, loads of stuff on YouTube. So you can bring the kids into this as well and teach them new stuff too, which is also exciting.
I think that is a great idea. Actually, my daughter's teaching me how to draw. So I think she's actually teaching me something, which I think is really cool. So Jacqui, what is number 8?
Okay, so number 8 is also a goodie. It is do something that you've been meaning to do for ages. So the one that comes to mind for me is that there is possibly that recipe that you've been keen to try out that you just haven't gotten around to because it takes a while. Now you've got the time, so do it. Maybe you have started a project, as another example, maybe you've been, oh, the word is gone.
You've been procrastinating.
Exactly. So there's a project you've started or you've meant to start. Now's the time to do it. So something that you want to do, that you've been meaning to do for ages, do that one, which kind of ties into number 9. So can I jump in there? So number 9 is to declutter. So there's been a lot. It's also a very trendy thing at the moment, the whole decluttering. And for good reason, because our physical environment around us is an indication of what is going on in here and in here. And if your house is cluttered and messy, well, guess what that means? It's actually a sign of how you are feeling at the moment. We've got the time at the moment. So even if you start off with just the bedside, like your bedside table, and sorting out your sock drawer, and you just slowly but surely, one thing at a day, one small area, just go through and declutter, taking away everything that you don't need and doesn't make you happy. And you know what, you then take those things and you can then put them either into the bin because actually they're rubbish, you can put them in another box for resale so you can make a bit of money out of this, or you can put them into a donation box. Here in South Africa, we've got the SPCA shops, we've got hospice shops, loads of these shops which are happy to take all of our hand-me-downs and they pass them on to other people who will love them, which I think is an amazing thing. So decluttering, number 9.
I do think that is a really top tip. And it doesn't have to be that you need to spring clean or declutter your entire house. I think especially with the list that you're giving us today, it is just taking the small steps, even if it's just minute, steps in the right direction, so that you're actually moving forward to be more happy. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We don't want to say, oh, I've got this long list of things to do, and then put extra pressure on ourselves. We actually want to de-stress, and these are the steps to get to being happier, not to be putting more pressure on ourselves. I think that is something really important to point out.
No, absolutely. And I think this comes with anybody at any point in your life. We're always wanting to make, to improve our lives and to make ourselves better, which is always great. But I think the trick is to always just, one step at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do everything. Develop one good habit at a time. And when that habit is now part of your everyday thing, then move on, create the next habit. And so you're doing it in slow, incremental, purposeful steps as opposed to an avalanche which then you just give up on because it's actually just too much.
Absolutely. So what is the final tip?
Okay, so number 10 is an interesting one because I wrote down disconnect/connect. So it's a two-part one, this one. Disconnect. Again, lots of fear, lots of chaos, lots of panic going around at the moment on social media. And I feel like we really need to be careful about how much we are participating in social media. Yes, it's great because we are all confined. So you do want to stay in touch with all of your loved ones. And of course, we may be mindlessly scrolling through social media out of boredom as well. So watch that one. But also what happens is that we pick up on a lot of the negative energy, and we pick up on a lot of the panic and chaos and that fear through the social media, and even just through news and stuff like that. So I think just being mindful and limiting the amount of time you spend on social media and interacting in that way, just to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on out there. Yes, it's a reality and we have to be aware of it, but we don't have to get caught up in the fear and the panic of it. So that's the first half. The second half is connecting. So this is actually quite fun. We have got a lot of loved ones who we probably don't live nearby. We have got friends and family all over the world. It's just the nature of the world as it is. And yet we have this amazing technology, like you and I are chatting now, Tori, to connect with people who we maybe haven't connected with for a while. If I think of my parents, they're up in Johannesburg, so they're like 500-600 kilometers away. And of course, for these 21 days, we are not going to see them. So what we've been doing is every other day, we go onto either Zoom or onto WhatsApp, and we actually FaceTime them and chat to them. They're getting to chat to the kids, they're getting to chat to us. And it's actually quite nice because you don't have to just have a conversation like we are now, but you can even just hang out. There is a podcast called The Happiness Lab, and they've actually got a special edition at the moment called about the whole corona thing. And in America, a lot of the students have obviously been sent home from university, and they're all struggling with this isolation. And what they've done is they've created Google Hangouts so that you can go into the Google Hangout and have dinner in the dormitory dining room. Or you can go into the Google Hangout and you can go to the dormitory lounge and just hang out with the people who you'd normally hang out with, but you're doing it online so you're not as isolated as such. And it's such a cool thing. I think of all of the things like who we can connect with on this level, face to face. So you just like, hey, let's watch a movie together, but we'll do it online. Or I'm in the kitchen busy cooking, but come with me and let's chat while I'm cooking. So it can be formal, but you're still connecting using social media, using whichever technology platform you want to use.
I love that idea, especially when we can have some virtual coffee or even wine dates. How cool is that? So, Jacqui, can you just hold up the board again? Because I would like to recap your top 10 tips.
Are you going to be able to read it?
Yes, I could read it earlier. So there we go. It is to get some sunshine, get some vitamin D. We can exercise, just practice gratitude, make sure that we're drinking water, eating healthily, and as you've got there, don't mindlessly eat. Just plan, schedule your working hours to fit in with your family and what is necessary. Meditate and learn something new. I love that one. Do something that you've always been meaning to do, and declutter, even if it's just your sock drawer. And the final one is disconnect or connect. I love that. So that is so cool. Jacqui, if there was one word that you could give our swimming teachers today, what would that be?
Oh, that's a bit of a tough one. especially considering we've gone through so much already, which I think is all really good. No, actually, it's not tough. I lie. I would say be kind. Right now, be kind to yourself, be kind to your family, and just be kind to as many people as possible around you. We are going through a really tough time. I think it's important to be kind to yourself because, as I said, the normal rules do not apply. So don't be as hard on yourself as what you might normally be. Be kind to your family. Really be present with them. They are also in a phase of uncertainty. And then, of course, if you do have the means to help anybody else out there who either financially or whatever the case is also struggling, to be kind to them as well.
Now, Jacqui, you uplift and empower everyone around you, which is an incredible gift. How can our teachers connect with you?
So I am probably my most active on Instagram, which you will know, Tori. I love Instagram. It's my absolute favorite. You can find me at yoga_coach_Jacqui. Jacqui spelled AACQUI. And then I am on Facebook as well. And again, you just have to search Jacqui Meyer, life coach. See, I'm having 6-year-olds coming to show me their coloring in. Nasty. I'm going to come look now. Okay. Thanks, baby.
Well, Jacqui, I feel more balanced already, and I really appreciate your top 10 tips and sharing those with us today. I will definitely start to implement those today. I'm going to include a link in the comments for Jacqui's Facebook page and Instagram account. So if you have any questions, please just drop them in the comments and Jacqui will happily come and answer them all for you. If you found value in this video today, please press the heart emoji, tag your friends if you think they will find value in it, and share it. Yeah, share it with all your friends, share it to your page. So I think I speak to, for all our viewers, when I say a big thank you, Jacqui. It's thanks so much for joining us today, and you've brought so much value, and I hope to see you again soon.
Tori, thank you to you because you actually inspired my top 10 list. I hadn't actually even thought about it, and then you sort of, we chatted a bit about it, and I was running, and in my running I just suddenly had this whole like download. So it was like, yeah, that's what it was. So thank you so much for inspiring that and for letting me share with you and your group, because I think that right now what we need is more positivity in our lives and less panic and fear. So thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much. Cheers.